This first episode is brought to you by a very special publication. It's actually a latest Estonian hit, Fomo.Observer, and they're doing a special episode with a very special guest. They will be talking about the algorithmic shift, rewriting Estonia's competitive edge for 2030. So, let's welcome hosts of the podcast, Tarmo, Virki, and Triin Hertmann, joined by CEO of AI Leap Foundation, Visak, and man himself, President of Estonia, Alar Karis. Thank you.
Welcome everyone to the very first Fomo podcast. I really love the setting where I'm sitting with the back towards the audience, so I don't see anything what they are reacting to. But I'm not the most important person at the table, so I'm totally okay with that. Let me start with a first very simple question. Many people are worried about the AI. Are you?
Well, no, I'm not worried at all. But of course, there are certain dangers, and we have seen also from past in different technologies. And maybe which is specific to AI is that this technology is moving very fast, and this is what makes actually people anxious. But as we all know, technologies have its limits, and there are always rules as regulations, and also ethical issues arise. So we shouldn't be worried.
What about you, Ivo?
Yeah, I think I'm mostly worried about people who are too excited. This is sort of one of the biggest worry I usually have. So quite similar idea with the president that there are limits to technology. And sometimes some people tend to give technology almost like a godhood or god state. So this is quite dangerous.
Absolutely. Mr. President, AI is actively altering already public discourse and the nature of shared truth. In the area where synthetic media can perfectly mimic leadership, we have seen pictures of you talking something which you've never said. Should Estonia somehow proactively defend itself, or how can we manage in this space? I mean, will that proactive defense kill innovation?
Well, I actually finished my opening speech here, and I was talking about education. And I think it's critical thinking is still very valuable. So, and I do hope that AI will actually help us to more become, thinkers than before, because we can see now these days, even without AI, people are not very understand what's written down. So that means we need to teach them. And I do hope that this AI, with all these dangers, will help to overcome this issue.
Do you think that AI will ultimately strengthen democracy by giving people access to knowledge and services and creating wealth, or will it weaken it through manipulation and misinformation?
We have seen it already when we digitalize our country. So that means it does help to democratize. That means people have an access. I mean, even in remote regions, they have access to knowledge, to data, basically to everything. And they have an equal access. Because if you have to buy, and especially now when we launched this AI Leap here, that means it's every kid can have it. Not that you have more money, you can buy this access to specific ChatGPT or anything else. So this does help to democratize the society as well. And of course, I mean, technology does help also to make society more transparent. So that means also helps the same issue.
With the education and AI, Ivo, you've been running the AI Leap Foundation. The first year, so to say, the first year results are about to be in. How is it going? How far are you guys?
So the first year has been mostly tied to high school education. Out of the around 156 high schools we have in Estonia, 154 have been quite actively participating one way or another. So the coverage has been 99% from the high school perspective. We can see that the popularity by the teachers is constantly growing. So the statistics we had from early 2025 showcased that the Estonian high school teachers were around 50% had used AI for school purpose. With our program, this percentage has now grown to around 80%. But this is not really the let's grow the percentage. This is not sort of the in education. It's never about how many users we have. It's rather what do you do with this technology. So technology for technology's sake in education is a completely nonsensical attitude. The bigger question is, does it support teachers in their pedagogical endeavors? And does it somehow or some form support students? So in school, everything in the end it has to support the students. So with this teacher program, we have reached around 4,900 teachers who are quite actively using the products we have provided them. We have around 300 teachers which are representing their schools who have gone through a very in-depth program so that they can lead their teaching circles at their schools. And also when it comes to the students, around 12,000 students have activated our student version of the tool that we have sort of made together with OpenAI, people from Stanford University and University of Tartu, where Associate Professor Jaan Aru has mostly led the way. So instead of having an answering machine, we have a Socratic model that rather tends to ask questions. So students have ranked it 7 out of 10. And what it means is that they often say that it has huge potential, but it's really annoying. And what they mean by that is that, your average AI tools, they just teach out answers. But I think Jaan Aru put a bit of himself into the tool, so it asks only questions.
And maybe it's also important to add that it doesn't mean that every teacher should use AI, but he or she should know what the opportunities and possibilities are. So this, I mean, chalk and whiteboard or blackboard is still in use, but teachers should know what are the possibilities of AI.
Just maybe adding also to what our president said, one of the key things, and there's a very clear misconception about Estonia and the technology use in education. So in Estonia, around 70% of teaching still happens face to face. Around 30% is where you have maybe a screen in between. We have countries quite close by to here in Estonia where it's completely switched. And I would say that this is a bit more dangerous territory than the one that we are driving. So in Estonia, the technology is still a tool for a teacher to support the end goal. If the tool isn't supportive of the end goal, the teacher doesn't have to use it. So I'm still very happy about the fact that in Estonia, the teacher is very much in the lead of choosing the right technology. But of course, there are certain risks and double-edged sword moments where sometimes this ultimate autonomy can, on the flip side, sometimes mean that when I'm fully autonomous, it also sometimes gives me an excuse to not go with times and sort of see the wider picture that the world has changed.
I'm kind of mostly worried about the, I don't know, the brain work of the children. Of course, social media was the first thing to kill the brains of the young people, but leaving the AI to do the homework, I'm slightly worried that they will be dumber than we would like them to be.
Well, it doesn't mean that you have to use this AI or your iPad or whatever 24 hours per day. because it's a task of the teachers also tell students that you have to read books as well and go outside. So I recommend it to parents and teachers. If your kid is using is online for 2 hours, you should send he or her outside for 2 hours. If 3 hours outside, 3 hours. So this is kind of compensates the using of this digital technology these days.
It sounds rather idealistic.
Well, it depends on the parents, of course, but you have to realize we can't put it back again to a tube. That means we have to live with it and to find a good solution how to use it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll add a bit. So I think the key aspect that has to change is the fact that the time we spend in the school. So everybody here in the crowd also, or when you're sitting here behind this podcast table, think about the time in your high school or primary education, and think about the time on lessons where the lessons were kind of the filler, and the homework was the important part. Homework, in a lot of senses, how it has become redundant. A lot of the homework we are still giving to the students, there is no point, there is no learning happening. The key aspect of when you go to the school, your lessons start around 9 o'clock in Estonia. When you're a high school student, they end around 4 o'clock. The most important time is the time you spend in the school with your teacher, and making sure that that time is really well spent, that it's a good environment for studying, and it's a very healthy environment for learning. And I think this kind of understanding, or what our president also said, this general critical thinking, and in even wider context, AI literacy. This AI literacy understanding is especially important for all of the Estonian teachers. So this is also the reason why next year we are not only working with high school teachers, but we are also extending our program to vocational education teachers and most of the primary education teachers. So I think AI literacy is a key component for nowadays, and it comes down to digital competences. For years, I would say that digital competences have been something where people have just said that, digital competences are something that informatic teachers have to take care of. I would say that with AI, most of the informatic teachers got a lot of cool new tools. And when I would be an Estonian language teacher, I would be much more worried, or a history teacher or a social sciences teacher. So I would say that digital competences are something that every teacher has to take at heart nowadays. And AI often hasn't really brought in a lot of new problems. It has just put the mirror. The mirror is just really huge now. Like a lot of old problems we have in the education system, the mirror just showcases and magnifies the problems that we have had. Even though we're very proud of our education system, it has just magnified the problems that we have to deal with.
I would like to elaborate on that. Studying and education is just one side of AI. So the human interaction, or like basic human like relationships. So AI can be your really attentive, friendly, listening friend who is always available and never mad at you, or you don't have to figure out how to solve conflicts with it. So could this human interaction with actual people become too difficult eventually for children?
Of course, there are some problems. I can imagine. I just met with school psychologists quite recently, and that means students are using quite a lot of AI for help. Sometimes this does work, but sometimes it doesn't. So the human touch is needed anyway. So it's up to us. I mean, how much and how we can interact with each other. But if you think about evolution, I mean, we have been around for a million years. And I don't think we could change this development in 1 or 2 years. So we are still social the social people, even if there is an online possibility, we still need each other. So I wouldn't worry, but we have to be careful because AI tends to please person who is using it. So, but again, it's a part of education. That means that the student know what it does and what it doesn't. So, and there is always a bias and some other things, and then also in this political sphere. But it's just coming back to this not giving lessons at home or no stuff. I still believe that some things stay, some homework will still doesn't disappear completely, but it changes. I mean, that means you give some, no point to write an essay, but some homework is probably necessary, and then you can, as a former professor of university, I mean, it's kind of seminar thing. You discuss, I mean, what you've done at home. Teachers have more time to discuss with the students, and they discuss what they have done at home rather than just ticking the boxes.
One more question about the education system in general. We were talking quite a lot about it, but my personal worry is about different clock speed. I mean, education system moves really slowly. We have still teachers who were trained during the Soviet times, and their mentality is still in a totally different area of where we are living. And the AI and the technology change today, its clock speed is just so different. I'm really worried how they can actually cope. But I mean, I think with AI Leap, you are working on it, and also the other initiatives we are doing is somehow going in the right direction. But is it fast enough?
Well, I would say that I had the privilege of being a school principal for 5 years. I had the privilege of grading Saaremaa State Upper Secondary School, and I had excellent colleagues from every age group. And I would say that some of the, when you look at the passport, then some of the teachers who might have had a bigger number in the passport were much more youthful than some of the youngest amongst us. So it's not often an age question, it's a mindset question. And I think the mindset question is a lot to do also with having the courage and having also a very clear feeling of support from school leadership. So in Estonia, the way on how our education system is built, school leaders are the key driving aspect of change happening in a school environment. Estonian principals have a lot of power, and it also means that Estonian school principals, if they support their colleagues, if they support cultural change, if they support cultural change in the understanding that AI is not going anywhere and we rather have to get better digital competences, and there is an ongoing support by the school principal, by the bosses of the school principals, for them to be supportive, then I think there are a lot of problems that can be solved. But at the same time, an ugly fact is that there is a strong change of scenery in the teacher age group also. And some of the teachers will be at pension soon. So it means that the shift is happening anyway.
So I have been visiting a number of schools and talking to teachers and students, and well, I see the diversity. Of course, there are, and it's nothing to do with age, to be honest. So there are very keen to use these new technologies. There are teachers who are saying we are not going to use it at all. The same with the students. So basically, everybody has its own pace. But, I mean, it doesn't mean that because what's important? Important is the outcome. The students, they become smarter. If you have other technologies, other means to make the students smarter, then it's okay. I always give one example. I had a colleague, photographer, that he said, "I'm never going to use digital camera." 1 year later, he had 2 cameras, and so people need some time, and so we shouldn't worry about this at all.
Minna?
Yeah, I have a friend who said that she feels she's very young and progressive in general, but she said that she feels that it's like riding a bicycle and trying to catch a fighter jet. It's feeling of left behind. So how can we make sure that people don't feel left behind, even though they don't immediately adapt all these tools?
I mean, young people, they learn very fast. It's not a problem. So, and you see how fast actually young people grow. We become grown-ups. So we should be patient. And I mean, people still use bicycles, although we have jets and everything. So that means it doesn't substitute. And but it's just something additional becomes as, especially, and it's the same with this AI technology.
Maybe, yeah, one thing that I would just add is that this I also have a fear of missing out in another sphere. So I'm very happy that Estonia, thanks to our president's leadership, also has taken this lead in driving AI leap, which is kind of in a very unique position, at least in Europe. We have some comparison with Taiwan and Singapore, but the education systems are quite different. In Europe, we are very much in lead of this, and we don't have sometimes somebody else to change notes with. So how are you doing? So we are kind of driving the way right now in Europe. But one of my main fears is another sphere where Denmark has been very successful, especially with the leadership of Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, although she is now changing government. The key thing has been around, are we protecting ourselves from AI? So what it means is that they have been driving copyright, that humans have copyright over their face or features, their body, their voice, just to make sure that these kind of deepfakes, which are one of the biggest I would say my biggest fear towards democracy. So this is a field where we really should learn from Denmark, and we should really put a very strong emphasis on making sure that we take the good stuff, but we very clearly have to see that using AI it gives a lot of possibilities for using it in a very bad manner, and this kind of safeguarding our democracy, especially against deepfakes, that will be, I'm 100% sure that we will be having our first deepfakes in our next election coming next year spring to move some attitude needles. So we really have to take this kind of a political understanding that there has to be some sort of stronger laws around deepfakes in Estonia also.
I mean, Eva mentioned good education in Estonia, so which is true. I mean, according to PISA test, we are really on the top of this ranking lists. But at the same time, that means average is very good, but we are missing talents. That means this AI might also help. I mean, having a personal approach to certain students that they also develop, I would say faster, because they are talented in some fields. Well, everybody has a talent, but it's difficult to figure out which talent one has. So this AI might help to personalize the education as well.
Ivo, you brought up the Danish example. I know that, Mr. President, you are not doing laws in this country, but can we do something similar in Estonia? Is it even realistic?
I can veto laws, so if against the constitution, that's all I can do. But yes, there should be laws present. But I don't believe that if you say you are allowed to do this and that. I mean, kids are very smart; they find a way out of a situation. So.
But this copyright thing of your own identity, this sounds like a really
I mean,
great...
it is important to find a solution because as a small country, language is very important. That means we need have an access to modern contemporary literature as well, rather than old books. So because this is important. So there should be a solution also on copyright issues.
Mm.
Yeah, but maybe adding to that, I think so there are like two issues around copyright. So the first issue is, do I have copyright over my own voice? Like Ivo Visak, currently my voice speaking. Like, can someone copy it for, I don't know, make a fake phone call that someone should send me 700,000 euros, you know? but but at the same time, I would say that we have to be very careful with these things. We really have to make sure that we really safeguard a lot of these topics around because there will be more and more clever strikes. Like I said, a few days ago we had a horrible use case of how people, and there wasn't that much AI used. It was just a very good scam towards Estonian Artists Union. But now enhance it with put some more tools to it, start using voice modulators. So really to make sure that when we get these people, the law is harsh on them, to really have this kind of showcase that there are certain fields where we are not that liberal. But when it comes to, I'm 100% on the boat here with Mr. President on how can we make sure that our own copyright laws don't stop us from developing our own small language models, for example, that University of Tartu is driving by Professor Mark Fischel or other professors who are really driving the way in Estonian University of Tartu NLP group. They are creating tools for viipekeel, how is it in English? Sign language, so Estonian, so they're using LLMs for sign language training. So really excellent technology, but we at the same time, we have to understand that for this technology to be better, they need a lot of extra data that's currently behind copyright. And at the same time, I'm not blind to the fact that what has made Europe rich is the fact that Europeans have created copyright. So we don't always have oil spilling out from the ground. So we have to be smart about how we become rich in Europe.
I'd like to ask a bit more about this personalization, or because now we have the potential of AI triggered agents or whoever would attack us as people and use our personal weaknesses. And you already mentioned the context of fraud or elections. So basically, before we had to somehow understand the groups of people, like, okay, maybe somebody cares about the forest, somebody doesn't, so I will cater my message to these people. But now I can figure out like 10 things that affects you personally and attack that one. So how could laws or state guard us from this type of things?
I mean, data protection is important. So when we started this AI leap, we think maybe we should focus more on medicine, but we know it's now very difficult because of these data protection issues, which can be solved, of course. But this is important that not every data is available for these purposes. So, and again, I mean, just to educate people, you mentioned your voice. I mean, there are videos around me personally inviting people to put money here and there. So these videos are already there. I mean, of course, the voice is not pretty much the same, but still, my face, my mouth, everything. So you should be more careful. This is a very good example. I mean, if you lose 700,000 euros, it's a good lesson. It's a hard lesson, of course, but it warns other people as well.
Yeah, I think, by the way, coming to nature and sort of the environmental protection, I'm very happy, by the way, by the fact that we have a small but a growing group of students in Estonia who are quite angry about a lot of the technology. They are seeing the global scale. They're really afraid of how this technology might affect the planet we live on. And I'm still very, very happy about the fact that there are these kind of kids who are not sort of just happy about every status quo. So it is kind of the punk movement. The current punk movement is not accepting all of what technology companies are teaching out towards us. So it is healthy. It is sort of a showcase of an immune system of a healthy democratic society. But when it comes to these kind of how do we create protection and on these kind of technology, these bad sides. I think we already have a pretty good showcase of plenty of these problems. We just have to find the politicians who understand that we shouldn't really wait anymore on driving certain laws. Of course, there are always dangers of people saying that, candlelight and paper are the best things in the world, and we should close off all technology. This is a very dangerous other side of seeing world, but we have politicians in Estonia also who have a bit of a clearer picture of what is useful and where technology in the wrong hands can become an enemy. So, yeah.
Okay, talking about technology, I'm talking about the environment. I mean, we have to realize that AI takes a lot of electricity in future. So now the question is where this electricity comes from. So either it's environmental friendly and so forth. So we have to understand that as well. So it's not just, you use AI, but on the other end, there is a production of electricity, and it's really growing very fast. I mean, the need.
Wrapping up the discussion, our time is soon up. We are sitting here in the yard of Latitude 59 to speak about the future. We've spoken a lot about the kind of AI and education, but what's the possibilities for this country, this country's economy? I mean, where will...
I mean, we have calculated, I can't remember exactly the numbers. We digitalized our society, and it saved us quite a lot of GDP because of that. So the same happens probably with AI, and people are not doing useless job instead of doing what is only man can do. So rather than technology.
Maybe my sort of key takeaway from the question of for the how does it support our economy. I had the privilege of being in US for 2 weeks by the support of US State Department just a few weeks ago. And I went through 5 different states, learning about their education systems, learning about how they are integrating AI into their education field. And one key aspect that I think gentleman by the name of Ryan Carpenter in an interesting organization told me that when he was listening to what we're doing in Estonia, he said that one thing that I clearly see is that Estonia is putting civic education in front of economic education. And he said that it's not really a bad thing, because a person who is in a civic way well educated will have a good support for the economic gains also. It's rather a question that in US, because the social state is much thinner than in Estonia, then the seeing everything through the lens of economy is just a psychological safety net for them, because there is no social state there. So for us, I would say that we have the privilege again of having this layer of social support, but at the same time, when we educate our students in the civic understanding of what is AI good for and what is not good for, and both sides are very much in the picture, then it's just being in front of some other countries and finding certain ways of doing things smarter earlier, being the early adapters and also doing the necessary shifts in one or another sector. And yeah, if I can give any advice recently to students, then one of the key aspects that have been said that people will say there's no point in learning informatics anymore. I would just say that the field of informatics will just change. The job of a junior developer will just change. It's not really going anywhere. But I already hear from my friends that it's more about being a junior orchestrator or whatever they call it in these companies. So things change, and it's rather important for us to be early adopters in certain things, catch our understanding of things that are really bad and making sure that we don't go there. And I'm hopeful that when we do these kind of things, then we succeed.
I also tend to give advices, so I always say in the end that one should not be afraid of unknown. So this is a part of innovation as well.
Good. Thank you all for the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you
very
so much.
Thank you.